Hi friends, thanks for joining me. Today I have a layout for Hip Kit Club and I am using these wonderful June kits. As you can see there, they're full of pretty things. And my challenge this week was to use my punches in a creative way. And I had this idea about kind of creating a little porthole kind of thing. And use these stencils in that aperture to create a nice cloudy background. So those stencils are exclusive to the June colour kit and really versatile. So as you'll see here, there are different cloudy edges all the way around, which I thought was really clever. And then there's a couple of clouds in the centre of the stencil. So I am using some Distress Oxide ink. This is Salvage Patina. I had to think about it then. Salvage Patina, which is of course my new favourite. So that and Peacock Feathers are still my number one colours. And I am gently using a makeup brush in a circular motion to apply the colour. So I would suggest, if you're new to stenciling or to blending, and I'm sure most of you are experts at this, I tend to dab off the excess onto card or some scrap paper and then just go blending away. And normally I would go kind of inside to outside, but with this I found I could easily use the white space on the stencil just to make sure that I had a nice even coat. And just blend so that you don't get any brush strokes. And I was aiming to have some darker areas and lighter areas, just so that those clouds would show up effectively. Now that aperture underneath is slightly larger than the finished one because I've got that pattern border there. And if you find you have areas that you need a little bit dark, just go back over as I'm doing here. And it's weird how it works because you're just using one colour there. And I guess you could use more than one colour, depending on what the look you're after. But I wanted something subtle, so not to overpower the photo and the rest of my design. So that's how it's kind of going to look, and my photo will go on the outside of the aperture. And then I want to create some waves that come out of that hole and across the page. That's my idea anyway. I think in reality, it doesn't quite turn out how I expected, but I don't know. I'm pleased with the end result. So I'm going to mount that pattern paper, and I did cut these out on my silhouette. So just two simple circles basically, and then a circle for the white card. And as you can see, I'm going to mount it onto foam just so there's a little bit of a gap between the two. And the tricky bit is to try and line it all up, to be honest. Now, in hindsight, I could have probably drawn around the outside and lined it up that way, but I just eyeballed it. So if it's not too perfect, I don't think anyone will sue me. So I think this would be really nice if you really wanted to go to town to have multiple layers of circles. But I think with everything that's going on, I felt like two would be enough. So this month's collection, so the June collection, has beautiful elements from Pink Fresh Studio, as well as a lot of Hip Kit exclusives. I need to put my teeth back in. And there are lots of different colours within the kit. So there's kind of lilacs and pinks, as well as blues, or different hues of blue as well, and lemons. And I think because of my theme, I was kind of going down a monochromatic route. And in the end, I wanted some pops of colour, and I ended up doing a triadic colour set. So you'll see later how that works. So I've mounted that onto my white background, and now I am going to create some waves. So here's my clever use of a punch, or it is clever for me. So I've taken a 1-inch punch, circle punch, And I know we've all got one of these in our drawers somewhere, because it's kind of a basic punch we all have. And as you can see, I am just moving that punch along the edge of the cardstock, and I'm just going to make sure that you can do it very evenly so that they're all the same distance apart and the same depth. But waves are a bit choppy, so I kind of wanted a little bit of up and down, a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit uneven. But you'll see, I'm going to do this with 3 pieces of cardstock. I think I cut my video a little short there. Anyway, I repeated exactly the same process with 3 layers of blue card. And I've set the dark one at the back and the lighter one at the front. Not sure which way round would have been correct for the perspective, but as you can see there now, I am just, I've glued those together and I'm just kind of roughing up the edges just so they look separate. Because there's a danger that it just might look like pattern paper from a distance. So just to give it a little bit of dimension. And you can also see, because I started on the same side and I ended up being quite even, I didn't want all my peaks to be at the same point, so I kind of offset them as I needed to, just to make them look pretty. And I've tucked in the left hand side there under my circle, my aperture, and I'm just going to try and set this at a 90-degree angle. I'm a bit challenged where that comes into effect, because no matter how I set things, I always seem to think, oh, that looks a bit wonky. So I am standing up for this one, because I think that's part of my problem, looking at when I'm sitting down, it kind of looks straight. And then when you stand it up, it's like, nah, that's not straight. So I like how that looks, and it kind of, did match my vision. And I've pulled out a Pocket Life card from the June Pocket Life kit, and I've set my photo on there. It has got a white border. And I've also set an eyelet at the top to turn it into a tag. Kind of like turning square things into tags and so on, just because it gives you an opportunity to add a bit of thread, a ribbon or a bit of twine. And I just like that texture that those things can create for you. Those beautiful frames, I think those are from the Pocket Life kit too. And I'm trying to be careful here about the colour combinations, because, as I say, I kind of wanted to stick with kind of a blue theme. I do want to add a yellow sun, and I didn't want too many random colours on my page. Just because I really wanted it to feel, summery and beachy, and I kind of got that in my head that I didn't want to add too many random colours. So I've just pulled out a bit of yellow twine from my stash, just to set in the top of that eyelet there. And as you can see, I think it just gives that little bit of texture. Now, I absolutely adore these massive titles, the chipboard titles. I think those have come in the embellishment kit. I will check. Anyway, I'll leave the links below so that you'll be able to check those out for yourself. So if Kim and Kimberly are watching, can we have some more, please? They're just so much fun. I just love having that big, massive title. So I couldn't resist the adventure one, even though it's neither blue nor yellow. So now this is when my triadic colourway comes in. So I'm just trying to decide, how should I set that title? And I feel the bottom of my waves are missing something. So I could either sew, but what I thought I might do is just punch out this border. So I've got a little border punch there, and I'm just going to set that at the bottom of those waves. It just needed finishing off, to be honest. It just kind of needed like an edge. So I think I could have probably done some zigzag stitch or a little bit of stitching, but because I've got it on foam tape, I didn't want to do that directly. So I've cut this border out in another blue. And I'm just deciding, shall I go underneath or on top? But because my waves go under that circle, it didn't look right, so I had to put it on top and carried it on all the way under my photo. And I've now stitched that, so again, that's that edge I was talking about. I just needed to finish it off in some way. So it's that punch is like a little circle punch, and little scallops, but they're tiny, tiny, weeny scallops, so that's really cute. I think it's by EK Success. Doing my bit of, and tying a knot just to finish off my threads. Normally I would just tape them, but because it's so thin, that wasn't really going to be an option. So I'm going to try and set this into place. As you can see, using some glue. I really can't be trusted with glue because I'm very messy. And whilst I'm doing that, you can see I have in the meantime die cut some elements. So I die cut the little sun there and a couple of clouds. I kind of felt like that all just kind of goes with my theme lovely. And I'm going to I want to line up my left hand edge of this border with my photo. So I kind of feel as though I need to break out of my, you know, when things have to line up and things have to be neat. I'm not kind of a neat person in real life, but there's certain things on my layouts that I can't kind of get past without causing me stress. Because it really, you know, I don't suppose it really matters, but I kind of got a bit fussy where those things are concerned. So happy now, look, the border matches up with my photo, and then I'm going to set my adventure title underneath. And I saw this on the puffy sticker set earlier, the little hello, and I thought that would be really nice then to set against my title, Hello Adventure. I love mixing and matching elements for a title. I think it just adds real interest rather than just sticking the thing straight on its own. Yeah, that's a fab title, that is. Those will definitely all get used up over the next few weeks. I know that the girls on the team have really enjoyed those titles because they just really catch your eye when you see the layouts in the group. So now to try and set my photo straight if I can. Perfect. That is a lot of fun. I'm just going to go ahead and look for some other elements to add to my page. We do get a lot in our kits, so we are so fortunate, I know that. So I just need to go and find some elements that in that either the blue, the yellow or the green, just to make sure that it all coordinates lovely. I think I'm looking through the Pocket Life elements at the moment, and I do love me a tag. So I'm just kind of deciding that I need something on the left hand side of that title. I'm not sure what to do, so I'm just going to stick down the elements that I have there. Now you'll see I need to move this sun later, or the clouds at least, because I've set them a bit too low. My original plan was to put a small sailing boat in the waves there, and it ends up being a bit bigger than I anticipated. Scale's always been a problem with me. So I have stuck down the cloud here, but I do end up moving it, as I say, because it's not quite where I wanted it, or where it needed to be at least. I did want to not cover up everything on the background there, those lovely clouds I'd created, but I think it's just getting smaller and smaller because I've added the clouds, the photo, the waves, and it just ends up kind of almost disappearing. So I'll need to do that again and on the next layout, and actually make a bit more of a feature of those elements. So these are beautiful pink fresh stickers. And again, I'm just trying to find some bits and pieces that are in those colours. And in the end, I think I'll go make the sailing boat. So the boat, I was looking for some punches to see if I could use some punches to create my boat. I pulled out a couple of tag punches, but really I couldn't get that to work. So I am just going to hand cut them. You can see I'm using a little trimmer just to cut out some simple triangles. And I'm just testing what I like before I end up actually going with the real thing. I did like the white, but I thought it would be really lovely if I could get some more yellow onto the page, because at the moment I've only got that sun. And if we look how much blue there is to how much green there is, I felt like I just needed a little bit more yellow. So you see, to make the actual yacht itself is really simple. I've just used some very simple shapes, because I can't draw for toffee, and it's a simple shape anyway. So it turned out a little bit bigger than, as I said, it turned out a little bit bigger than I expected. So I will need to make some adjustments, but I'm just going to tuck that into my waves there, and I think it really looks super cute. So I'm going to have to go and find some yellow to go with the page, just to give it that extra pop. And I'm going to try and look through my Pocket Life cards and see if there's anything suitable. I love using the Pocket Life cards for a little pop of colour, because there's always gorgeous patterns and extra elements that we don't have in the pattern papers and so on. And again, I'm just going to eyeball this and try and cut out both sails from this lovely yellow stripe. I think this is where it all ends up going a bit too big. And I think the beauty of this is really, so you can just go smaller and smaller with your triangles, trimming off. But I chickened out in the end and ended up with just a sail that's too big. So here I said earlier that I had to move that cloud. And I love how it turned out, and I think it's always those little happy mistakes that you make that kind of turn it into something special. So as I've only got a tiny bit of card left, I was just trying to squeeze out what I could, because I haven't measured anything. So I could have used my white template, couldn't I? Because that would be the sensible thing to do. However, as I'm not that sensible, I just eyeballed it. And I just wanted to ensure that I would have enough of that yellow, because it's just a 3x4 card, so not very much room for error. And I'm creating a simple mast from the white cardstock. Not sure if I needed it or not, but kind of felt, well, there you go, I tried. So it is super cute. Now, should I line the stripes or shouldn't I? I kind of feel they need to be aligned or really offset from one another. As it turned out, I went with the aligned option, and then when I glued it down, must have offset it a bit, so it wasn't quite perfect. But I think that's the nature of scrapbooking, isn't it? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be you. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'm nearly finished. I've dug out a few extra punches and stickers on my final layout. And nothing exciting. I just wanted to finish off that left hand corner of my title, and just adorn something around my photo. But really, essentially, the hard work was done when I created those waves and the original aperture. So you'll see I am just finishing off those bits, and I will leave you with some close-ups. Ignore my dog, who is making himself at home. I really hope you've enjoyed this process, and maybe you could try out making your own paper pieced elements as I've done here. And thank you so much for watching, and if you like it you could give me a thumbs up and perhaps subscribe to my channel. My name is Morag Cuts, and this was for Hip Kit June Kits. See you again soon. Bye bye.